sales is the most lucrative skill in the world, period. The problem is most sales advice out there today is outdated, cheesy, and can even keep you from getting the deals that can make all the difference in your career. This is the No BS Sales School, a podcast for entrepreneurs and salespeople who want to master the skill of selling without all the BS.
So this young kid gets a job in a hardware store. And he doesn't know shit about hardware stores, but he got this job. He's very excited about it. And the boss came to him and said, look, kid, you're brand new. I'm really busy. I got a bunch of stuff going on. We're going to send you to training in about 2 weeks. But in the meantime, I really don't have time to spend with you. So here's what I want you to do. Sit in that chair right up front, right by the front door. And don't be a pain in the ass. But if somebody's looking for help, do your best to help them. Let's just do that. And then once you go to product school, you know what the hell you're doing. You'll be fine. So he's like, okay. Kid's excited, sits in the chair. You can see the electricity running through his veins as he's so excited for something to happen. After about 2 hours, a lady walks into the store. She looks kind of lost. And the boy's kind of hoping. And anyway, she looks over and she said, sir, do you work here? And he said, yes, I do, ma'am. And she said, I need to find a heater for my house. Can you help me? And she's about 80 something years old. And he's like, yes. And he realizes, oh shit, I don't have any idea where the heaters are. I got no idea. Doesn't know anything. Doesn't know where anything is. Doesn't know what anything does. But he says, here, just follow me. And he starts walking slowly across past the aisles, looking at the signs on the front to see where heaters might be. And since he doesn't know anything, all he knows to do is ask her questions. And he says, tell me why you need a heater. And she says, well, because I have this little back room in my house where I spend most of my days, where I watch television, and it gets cold back there. And I want to have a little heater just to add a couple of degrees to temperature of the room, just to take the chill off. He's like, okay. And he's looking, they're walking. And all of a sudden he sees the heater aisle. He's like, okay, good. And so he turns down the heater aisle and he goes, oh my God, they're to himself. He says, there are like 50 kinds of heaters here. He says, holy shit. He says, well, okay, so you want a heater to heat up your back room. I totally get that. We can either have electric ones or ones that you put oil in. Looks like we got two choices. And she said, well, I don't want to put oil in anything. She said, probably electric. And he says, okay. So he goes to the electric fan section. And all of a sudden he goes, oh my God, there are 25 choices here. And he says to her, listen, we've got electric heaters from like $50 to $500. Do you have an idea how much money you want to spend? And she says, well, I don't want to buy just a $50 heater because I don't want to catch on fire or anything. So maybe around $100. And he goes, okay. So he goes to the area where there's $100 heaters and he looks and there are various different colors. And he says, well, ma'am, we got white ones and blue ones and red ones and yellow ones. Which color do you like? And she said, well, I have a blue rug. So I want something that stands out so I don't trip over it. So maybe, why don't we get a white one? And he's like, okay, that's great. Here it is right here. It's $120. She said, that's wonderful. And they walk up to the front of the store and she buys it. And on her way out the door, she knocks on the manager's office door and says, hey, I just want to tell you, you've hired a great person here. He's been super helpful. Thank you very much. And the boy was all proud and the manager was all proud and the lady went out the door. And this same story repeated itself over and over and over again for the next couple of weeks where people would come in. He doesn't know shit. So all he knows to do is ask him questions. It's not any kind of fancy strategy. He just doesn't know what else to do. And he's just crushing the sales and people are loving him. And there are a lot of people who are going out of the way to tell the freaking manager, which is awesome. And so the manager on the day before he goes to training says, boy, you've got something special. I don't know what it is. But when we send you off to product school, you're going to once you know what the hell you're doing, you're going to freaking crush it. And the boy was all excited because he knew that was the case. And he went to product school for 2 weeks and he came back and he knew everything about every product in the whole store. And he was thrilled. He couldn't wait to get going. So he's sitting in his lucky chair and in the door walks a guy, older gentleman. I say older, shit, he's my age, probably 60. And he says, hey, son, can you help me? I need to find a cooler. And the boy smiles and says, man, have I got a cooler for you. We have got, and he starts walking right to the cooler aisle. He knows right where it is. And he walks right thing. And there's all these different coolers, sizes and shapes and colors. And he says, we have got a deal on the Yeti 250. This sumbitch will hold 500 beers. They can stay cold for 7 days. If a bear attacks this cooler, they can't get in for like a week. So if the bear finally gets there, your beer will be warm. And so the bear won't be able to enjoy it. And he said, it's got this warranty and this is the best deal in the whole store. And if you don't buy this, you'd be a fool. And the guy says, okay, well, thank you very much. That's a really good idea. I need to think about that. And he goes, I really appreciate the information you give. And he walks out the door and he's gone. Here's the thing. He was going fishing with his grandson. Right? He just needed a styrofoam cooler to keep a sandwich and a couple of drinks in and maybe some crackers so that the kid would be able to sit still while they were fishing. He didn't need a Yeti 500. He didn't want a Yeti 500. But that was what the salesman was excited about. Over time. So here's what I want you to know. This happens to salespeople all the time. I'm sure it hasn't happened to you. But we think that what we're selling is the product. And you think that the more I can learn about the product, the better I'm going to be. Because, man, I need to know all about it. I hear this all the time from people. I need to understand my product better before I can sell it. And I would say to that, bullshit. What you need to understand is people. That will never change. What you need to understand, even more specifically than people, is the person you're talking to. Why are they looking for what they're looking for? What kind of problem are they trying to solve? How important is that problem for them to solve? Is there a personal, compelling, emotional reason why they need to solve it in the near future? Right? Do they have a budget? How much money would they spend? How are they going to make a decision? When were they hoping to make a decision? On what criteria are they going to make a decision? Now I realize maybe this will overkill for selling heaters and coolers, but I want you to see the point. The point is not telling people how great your product or service is. The point is not sharing features and benefits. If those words are coming from some trainer to you about features and benefits, just know that training, I don't know, in my opinion, which is often wrong, but often hard held, features and benefits are old school. They're a waste of time. People don't give a shit about the features and benefits unless they are specifically tailored to what solves their problem. So if you're learning features and benefits, you're wasting your time and you'll be wasting your customers' time. What you need to be learning is the psychology of people. How to build trust quickly. Why do people buy and why do they buy now? What motivates people? Right? And how do you continue to have a long-standing, ongoing relationship with somebody without having to feel like you have to cross the line to being friends? I want you to know a lot about your products. But what I want you to be sincerely curious about is why your prospect wants to talk to you about it and why now, and what they plan to do about it if they find a solution for their problem. I'm Walker McKay with No BS Sales. If you want training on how to do this, if you want to get you or your team up to speed on how to sell in today's environment, send me an email, walker@walkermckay.com. Go to my website and click on book an appointment. Let's have a conversation. Doesn't necessarily mean we'll work together. Doesn't necessarily mean that you should hire me or take you as a client. But let's have a conversation and see what it is you're struggling with. And maybe if I can help you, we can figure out a way to work together. I'm Walker McKay with No BS Sales. Thanks for listening. Share this with somebody else who needs to hear it.
Thanks for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast. If you haven't already, please take 1 minute to write a quick review for the show. It really does make a huge difference. Also, subscribe to the show and please forward this episode to somebody else who needs to hear it. As a bonus for listening, I'm going to give you access to a free mini course, 7 expensive sales mistakes you're making and what you can do about it. Go to www.7salesmistakes.com and get access to the free mini course. That's the number 7, salesmistakes.com. Thanks again for listening to the OBS Sales School podcast.